have one EQ and know how to use it really, really, really well than have 70 EQs that you're just flicking through like different EQs to see which sounds. It's just, I don't see that being a productive way to work, and I don't think you can make if you've got your 70 EQs and you're just picking them at random, you're not going to be making a really conscious choice about why you're picking that and what you're using it for. This is the problem I have with like plugin bundles. It's just too much. I much prefer kind of, buying a plugin, sitting with it, using it, really seeing what it can do. Maybe I'm boring. I don't know. Is it boring? It's a bit boring.
No, I love it. Well, I think for mastering, you also don't need quite as many either. Like, I think for mixing, I would need a few. Obviously, I could just use one EQ, right? But like, there are a few flavors that you want. Like, sometimes you want an API flavored EQ versus a Neve or an SSL, or just you want that Pro Q3. You just want to like get it in there and like get rid of a resonant, frequency or something. You know what I mean? So like, I feel like for mixing, you do need a few more options to get like those tones. But like, you don't really need it. You could do it all with the Pro Q3, right? Like, that's the only EQ you need,
Yeah.
Or just a stock EQ.
I feel like with mastering, because mastering is really quick as well. It's a quick turnaround process. So, for example, I can master between 10 and 15 tracks a day, which is quite a lot.
Oh my God.
And I've I don't know if all mastering engineers do this, but every bit of processing I do on a track, if any, needs to be a really, really conscious decision. And I need to be able to tell myself why I'm doing that and have a really good reason for it. If there's no good reason for it, then don't do it, because someone spent a long time producing and mixing this track and that's how they like it to sound. And so if you can't go, okay, yeah, I'm going to do this because it needs this, then I don't feel like it should be done. Obviously, there's exceptions where maybe someone's been like, oh, I'm not fully keen on the mix and we couldn't do any revisions. And so you might play around for a little bit longer. But generally speaking, mastering is really quick. And if you've got to choose from loads and loads of different tools, I don't know, that gets complicated and confusing. And I think with mastering...
like choice paralysis.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like loads of people, they want their masters really quick. They've got to send it off. The label needs them. The management company needs them. The radio plugger needs them, whatever. And so you have to be able to work very fast. It's it's quite alarming how quickly after mastering some songs get released.
That's wild.
It really is. It really is. But I don't know. I guess it's just part of the process. And I think especially since lockdown, people have had different opportunities. And so if a radio station becomes interested in a track that someone's played them, but it's not quite finished yet, and they want to play it. I did a Christmas track with a friend who's amazing folk singer, and she had it lined up to go on the radio like 2 hours after I'd finished mastering it.
Oh my God.
It's so fast. It's absolutely crazy. So you've just kind of you've just got to go for it. Like, focus and go for it.
Yeah, well, I love that you respect the craft of the producers and the mixers that you work with, and you just kind of say like, oh, this is why you did this for a reason. So who am I to like tear this apart and go crazy on it? Like, let me respect that art and just deliver it in a way that is going to translate well. Like, I feel like that's their approach.
Yeah,
and
totally.
I think that's awesome.
I mean, I think it helps that I've been there. I've been that mix engineer that's like wished they. Like, I never used to send notes to a mastering engineer because I didn't know that you could. I mean, Yeah, I just used to send stuff off and be like, oh, I hope they don't change the thing that I really like about it, but I hope that they do change something else that I don't like about it. But yeah, I think knowing what it feels like to send your tracks off to mastering to a stranger, like you've got to trust that stranger quite a lot to do that. And I'm really grateful that people do trust me with their music, because you know, when you've put your heart and soul into something, the last thing you want is someone completely, you know, saying no, that's not how it should be.
Yeah, it's because you actually wield a lot of power, right? Because you probably will make the song, you know, that give it that extra 2 to 5% or whatever it is, plus like that extra, you know, just knowing that it's you've checked for quality and stuff, QC, but like there's that potential to like, you know, just go too far and destroy a perfectly good mix, right? So you gotta, you know, like I feel like the communication that you're giving with your clients is probably what helps them trust you and, you know that they're going to get what they want, you know, from your master.
I think you hit the nail on the head. Communication's the most important part of it. Like I really enjoy when I get feedback from artists, because obviously not, you know, sometimes you send something off and they're like, yeah, it's perfect. But if they're kind of like, oh, actually, that's not sort of what I had in mind, you know, can we try it a little louder or whatever? It's just, it feels so good to have that working relationship with someone where you can both be totally honest with each other, and the artist can, or the producer can sort of share their vision and be like, no, actually, that's not quite what I was aiming for. That's the goal, really.
Yeah.
Like,
it's great because you learn something and then you understand them.
Yeah, absolutely.
You understand your clients better.
And then the next time you go on to work with that person, like going back to my first ever mastering project, I still work with that guy now. I think that was 2011 when we first worked together.
9 years.
And yeah, so 9 years later, we still work together. And it's just been a process of like getting to know each other's way of working, and you know, his mixing style has improved so much, and it's been amazing to sort of be on that journey with him. And obviously my mastering has changed. I hope it's improved.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, to sort of go on that journey together and to know what kind of styles each other likes and stuff is, yeah, it's really cool.
That's awesome. So I think I noticed that you use a dedicated mastering DAW. Is that correct?
I do. I use Wavelab, which is made by Steinberg, who they make Cubase and Nuendo and Dorico, which is scoring software. I first got a copy of Wavelab free, like Wavelab Lite Edition or whatever, with a copy of Cubasis in 2003. So I've been using Wavelab for that long.
That's a long time.
Which is crazy. But I really like it. It feels really, I don't know if it's just because I've been using it for so long, but the things where everything lives feel really natural to me, and how it works. I can't think of what it's like in terms of a more traditional engineering software. But if you imagine Pro Tools, but instead of having the tracks down the side, they're in tabs like your browser.
Oh, interesting.
So you've got loads of tabs open in Chrome or Firefox or whatever.
Yeah.
That's, if I've got a whole album open in Wavelab, that's kind of what.
So each tab is a track and like it's laid out in the order.
Yeah.
Interesting. What would you say is like the biggest benefit of using a dedicated mastering DAW as opposed to Pro Tools, Logic, Cubase?
The thing I really like about Wavelab is that it has all the has a lot of I don't know what you call it, like analytics stuff built in. So it has a spectrogram and level meter, loudness meter, markers, which are really useful. You can put in metadata, which you can't do in like Pro Tools or something. And you can create DDPs in Wavelab as well. I actually use Hoffer for DDPs and vinyl sides now. Just because I feel like I've only recently become aware of Hoffer. But I feel like all it does is like your album sequence. It doesn't do anything else, but it's really, really good at that one thing.
It's the
so
best.
I just find that like slightly, just a little bit quicker in terms of workflow, because you can autofill like the artist's name. You don't have to copy and paste it like 12 times for an album. You can just copy and paste it once then click an arrow.
You have to like triple check all that stuff, right? You like read it like 3 times before you like press enter. You know?
Absolutely.
Like before I post an episode, I'm like, okay, this is how they spell their name, right? Okay, yeah. Check their okay, got
it's
it.
It's a lot.
Yeah. You don't want to send the wrong information. I feel like that might be the most stressful part of being a mastering engineer.
Yeah, there's a lot of filing and spelling and copying and pasting. You have to make sure you get that metadata correct, and also make sure that you're requesting the correct metadata from the artist or from the management company, or the label. For example, sometimes the label copy, which is normally like a PDF with all of the track names, disc title, all of that stuff, ISRCs, it'll all be in capital letters, and you'll be like, did they mean this to me? And then you've got to write an email going, I don't want to mess up your record. Please, can you put the label copy with the correct punctuation and stuff, capital letters, just how it's going to appear on the record? Because
interesting. Yeah, got to get it right. Do you have any practices to stay fresh and creative in the studio space? Because we all kind of have days where we're feeling more motivated and days where we're feeling less motivated.
Oh, that's a really hard question. I think fresh and creative is kind of an everyday thing, because every job is so different and every person. So, I can master 10 to 15 songs in a day. If I don't have an album, that could be all different artists. Like that could be 10
crazy.
to 15 different artists in a day. And it's amazing. Like, it's fast. You've got to work hard. You've got to be really, really on it. Like, there's no room for error. You can't upload the wrong file to the wrong person or any of that. Like, you've got to pay attention. But it's
like narrowed in hyper focus, I feel like.
Yeah, it's kind of short bursts of focus. And it just keeps everything really interesting. But I think motivation-wise, obviously everyone has days where, I'm tired, I want to stay in bed, whatever. And I think that's hard, but I think having a really good routine is useful for that. That was really hard when I wasn't mastering full-time to get into a routine. But yeah, over time, I'm slowly starting to try. Yeah. I've not mastered it, but
yeah. No, it's interesting. I had an interesting conversation recently. I'm not sure if this episode aired yet or not, but just because like of the pandemic, like I feel like musicians, we are always, I don't know, because I also gig sometimes, not in the pandemic. So like, I'll play a gig some every once in a while, and then like my whole next day is like, how do you get back into that routine? You know what I mean? Like, we're fickle. So it's very, having this pandemic has kind of allowed me to sort of get a bit more routined and focus certain hours of the day for certain things. It's tough, especially for like people in the arts.
It's really tough. Like, I mean, I don't ever gig or anything, but pre-pandemic, I did a lot of traveling for guest lectures and events and sort of speaking things. Yeah, you get home late on a day, and then the next day it totally throws you out of whack. and sort of having the
Right.
pandemic